welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we're going to start a new series, but before I get into what's going on here on the countertop, I want to take you out to the garden. We are going to make some green grape wine. These are Himrod grapes. They are a seedless table grape, and I will take you closer. And here's what they look like. They are beautiful. They are sweet and a little bit tart. And I'll see how much we get. We'll need about 48 pounds for a 3-gallon batch, or approximately 80 for a 5-gallon batch. I will clarify that. But first thing we have to do is get these grapes harvested. I'll let you know how many pounds we have once I get in here and get them all harvested. Just a quick note, when you harvest your grapes, you'll take a couple nippers and you'll just nip this spot right here so as to not damage the rest of the plant. I do not recommend trying to tear them off. They are on there very firmly. So go ahead and grab your garden nippers and just do a little snip here and put them into a bucket. I've got 2 5-gallon buckets here. The most we would get would be 15 gallons, I think, but I will keep you posted. I got all the grapes harvested. I will insert a photograph for you here. That is 25 gallons of Himrod green grapes. They are a seedless grape, which is lovely. It's going to definitely help with the winemaking process. I also took the time to do the math for you. I weighed all of the grapes. Earlier on, I told you we needed between 48 and 80 pounds of grapes, depending on how big of a batch of wine we wanted to make. 48 to 50 pounds for a 3-gallon batch of wine and 80 pounds for a 5-gallon batch. And we have 115 pounds, but minus the weight of the buckets, it is 106 pounds of grapes, which is my biggest harvest yet. I have never harvested this many of the Himrod grapes before. This will be a multi-episode series just because it does take a long time to make an entire batch of wine, and I'd like to get this information out to you during wine season, right during grape season, so you can at least get started and do it along with me if you'd like to. Everything I'm going to talk to you about today is what you're going to need for the first couple days. Obviously, all those grapes, I'm going to need to wash them. They will need to be destemmed. You'll need to pull out anything that isn't perfect, right? So if it's a little bit, brown, or there's something, kind of wrong with it, go ahead and toss those, as well as all of the stems. You'll get those nice and clean, and then you'll separate them. We're going to go over that later, but first, I want to tell you what I have in front of me. Everything here that is going to touch the wine has been sanitized. I've got a big bucket. This is a 6-gallon bucket, I think. If you're gonna do a 5-gallon batch of wine, you need a bucket that's bigger than 5 gallons, otherwise it's gonna go all over the place. I also have a straining net here, and this is an extra large. I just buy them online. If you have a wine store near you, you can pick them up there. I have a very long spoon, which we will be using. I have a hydrometer here, as well as a wine thief, and I use the hydrometer with the wine thief. And I've got a half teaspoon and a half cup measuring cup here. These have all been sanitized with Easy Clean. There's lots of different ways to sanitize your equipment, but anything that touches the wine needs to be sanitized ahead of time. It would be a shame for you to lose all of your harvest and all of your hard work because you skipped the step of sanitization. So make sure you do that. You're also going to need Campden tabs, and you're going to need wine yeast. Don't use bread yeast. It's not going to work out the way you think. Well, you probably don't think it's gonna work out well because you're watching this video. Anyway, use wine yeast, not bread yeast. You're also going to need acid blend, and you're going to need a yeast nutrient, and you're going to need some sugar. I also have these pH strips because I just am a geek like that, and I like to write down the acid before and after I put in the acid blend. I like to keep track of the recipes that I make in case I don't like the wine, or in case I love the wine and want to repeat it later. And with that said, you're going to want to have some kind of a piece of paper or a journal where you write down everything you do and also the dates that you do it, so you can keep track of the entire process. It's easy to forget what we've done. That's it for the supplies that we're going to need for the first 2 days. The first 2 days are going to be all in this video. And at the very end of the video, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen next as far as what to expect, how long it's going to take, and when you can expect another video from me in this process. That way, if you do want to do it along with me, you can. Next up for me is to wash all of those grapes. And I'm not going to lie, it's probably going to take me many hours. It's going to take many hours to destem all of those grapes and get them properly weighed out and clean and into another bucket for the next phase of this video. So when you see me next, I'm probably going to have different set of clothes on, and but don't worry about that. Just keep in mind that it's going to take you a long time to do the washing and the destemming. This is a great opportunity for you to call your friends or your family members over, and you all can just have a great time doing that and just chit-chatting along the way. I'm back. That took 6 hours to destem all of the grapes, and I'm going to insert a photo for you here. Green grapes tend to oxidize very quickly once they're removed from the stems, and I find that putting them in a bucket of cold water prevents that, even if it has to be for overnight. Although if you destem your grapes and you're going to leave them in a bucket of water overnight, make sure you give it a really good layer of ice so it doesn't start to ferment in there before you're ready to actually start making your wine. These grapes here still need to be washed. I'm going to just rinse them in batches, and I'm going to run the grapes through this food mill here, and then everything's going to go into my main bucket, and I will show you what all of that looks like. Of course, this is going to take me a very long time, but not to worry. I'm just going to show you what you need to know to do it at home, and then I'll let you know how long it takes me so you can be prepared. This video obviously is not going to be super long, but I want you to know what you're getting yourself into. I may have mentioned this earlier, but I highly recommend a couple extra sets of hands if you're going to destem 80 pounds of grapes. Before I let you go and wash those grapes, I do want to mention there's lots of different ways for you to crush the grapes. Of course, you can do, put it in a big vat and use your feet. I've never done that, but it sounds really fun, especially since these are seedless grapes. You can just put them all in the mesh bag and just smoosh it down with your hands. You can use a food mill like I'm using here. You can also use one of these. These are really great for the Concord grapes that have the pretty big seeds in them. I like to use this for that. This one here, I think it's going to be fine. Also, this is such a big batch of wine. I'm a little bit nervous about how long it's going to take me to crush all of these grapes, but I'll keep you posted. I'm going to get a batch of grapes this size washed up and ready to go, and I'll take you on the journey with me after they're clean. Now that I have a really big bowl of grapes, nice and clean, ready to put through the food mill, we want to get our bucket prepared. You'll want to take your sanitized mesh bag and put it inside your bucket and secure it tightly to the top of the bucket. It's going to get quite heavy. And another important thing, normally you don't have to do this, this early on, but with green grapes, you need to put your Campden tabs in before you get really going. Again, because of the oxidation issue. And for a 5-gallon batch of wine, which we're doing, we need 5 Campden tabs. Okay. And then you want to crush them. And I just use this, kind of crush it on the countertop. Make crush really easy. You can either put this directly into the bag because the juice is going to flow over it, or you can put it in the bottom of the bucket. It doesn't really matter either way. And since I already put my mesh bag in, I'm just going to pop it in here. And then the juice that we pour in is going to flow the Campden tabs into the bucket. Now let's get to the fun part. You put the grapes into the food mill. And I have the food mill sitting on top of this pot here just to catch the juice. You can put it on right on top of your bucket if you want to. Okay, that does a really great job. It's nice and smooth in its motion, and it does really great crushing up these grapes beautifully. I think I'll give you a little bit of a closer view so you can see inside here better. Once you get your little batch all crushed up, you can put the juice and the skins right into your bucket. We will not be keeping the skins in here for long, but there might be some juice, you know, still remaining in there, so it's okay to go ahead and put them in. Once we get everything done, though, we will be discarding all the contents of this mesh bag. Unlike other types of wine, like other fruits or, you know, red wines or whatever like that, with the purple grapes or the red grapes, we are not going to leave the skins in the bag, you know, for any period of time. There is our 80 pounds of grapes, and I've already taken some of the skins out of the bucket because it just didn't have enough space. So what I'm going to do now is take this bag off, and we're going to squeeze it out, leaving only the juice and none of the skins. If it's too low, I do have more grapes I can put in. Unfortunate. I'm going to have to fix that. You guys, I'm making a serious mess here. Winemaking is not for the faint of heart. And you are going to make a mess. Well, if you're anything like me, you're going to make a mess. Especially with this method. It is doable, though. Right, that's pretty well squeezed out. Those skins are going to go to my chickens because they're not fermented. They don't have any additives in them, and it will be a great treat for them. Obviously, I have a big mess to clean up here, so I'm going to clean this up and then we'll move on to the next step. this is full enough, and I don't think we're gonna need to add any more grapes to this. As you saw earlier, I did dump some of the skins in there, but you guys, I'm really not worried about it. I could go ahead and filter it out, but I don't think it's necessary. It wasn't a huge amount, and I don't think it's going to sully the wine in any way or make it look weird. But hey, I got a big mess here. Let me clean this up and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I cleaned up my mess and I put on a new pair of shoes. Yes, all my shoes look the same. And now it's time to put in the sugar, and we want to put in 5 cups of sugar for this batch. And this is a half cup. Now you'll want to give that a really good stir. And while that's dissolving, we're going to check the acid before we put the acid blend in. And we'll add the acid blend next. Now we're going to add 10 teaspoons of acid blend, and we will check it again after that. Good stir. While we're continuing to wait for the sugar to dissolve, we're going to add the other ingredients. I forgot to tell you earlier that we are going to need to add tannin, so we'll add that next. Here's a package of tannin. Alternatively, you could use a good black tea. And we will add 1 1/4 teaspoon. This is a half teaspoon, so that's why I'm kind of digging it out a little bit. There we go. We'll give that a good stir. The last ingredient for today is the yeast nutrient, and we'll use 5 teaspoons. And stir that up nice. The last thing we need to do is do a quick gravity reading. This is a hydrometer. This is a wine thief, and it makes it super easy to grab the wine, to do the reading. And if you're keeping a journal, which I hope you are, you will write this down as well as your acid readings. Okay, your hydrometer you want to put into the wine thief, heavy and down, spin it. Okay, and the way you read your hydrometer is at the lowest point right here, and you'll just want to make note of that in your journal. It will help you determine your final alcohol content. Give this last stir here. And then we are going to take a cotton cloth and cover it up. And in 12 to 24 hours, we're going to add the wine yeast. It has been about 14 hours, and it is time to pitch the yeast. And I think my light is a little bit strange, but this is Premier Classique wine yeast, Red Star brand. We're just going to open this up and sprinkle that right on top. And we're going to use the entire package. One package works for up to a 5-gallon batch of wine. And it doesn't need to be stirred in or anything, but you can if you want to. And I'll give it a stir just so you can kind of see what the wine looks like right now. Still green in color, although it is going to be more of a clear, well, not clear, but it's going to be a very light white wine when it's done. Okay, now all we have to do is cover it back up, make sure that nothing gets in there. We don't want it to get contaminated. And we're just going to leave it alone for 5 days. And in 5 days, we'll do part 2 of this wine series together. Thank you all for watching part 1 of how to make a Himrod grape wine. This will work great for any type of green grape that you would like to use. And I will see you back in a week for part 2, where we are going to transfer the contents of that bucket into a carboy, and I'll tell you what to expect from there. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!